You know, if you were to look up mismanagement in the dictionary, there should be a big picture of this guy, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio. He's the worst of the bunch. Look, New York has always had its problems, but under de Blasio, it's going down the drain. Look at this headline from the New York Post. New York City is dead forever. That's pretty blunt. Quote, people say New York City's been through worse, or New York City has always come back. No and no. First, when has New York City been through worse? Even the 1970s through the 80s when New York City was going bankrupt, and even when it was the crime capital of the U.S., or close to it, it was still the capital of the business world, meaning it was the primary place young people would go to build wealth and find opportunity. It was culturally on top of its game, home to artists, theater, media, advertising, publishing, and it was probably the food capital of the U.S. New York City has never been locked down for 5 months, not in any pandemic, war, financial crisis, never. In the middle of the polio epidemic, when little kids, including my mother, were going paralyzed or dying, my mother ended up with a bad leg. New York City didn't go through this. Well, of course, there was going to be pushback, and Jerry Seinfeld published a rebuttal where, of course, the New York Times. Headline, Jerry Seinfeld, so you think New York is dead. It's not. Quote, Manhattan is an island off the coast of America. Are we part of the United States? Kind of. And this is one of the toughest times we've had in quite a while. But one thing I know for sure, the last thing we need in the thick of so many challenges is some putz on LinkedIn wailing and whimpering, everyone's gone. I want 2019 back. Oh, shut up. Imagine being in a real war with this guy by your side, listening to him go, I used to play chess all day. I could meet people. I could start any type of business. Wipe your tears, wipe your butt and pull it together. He says he knows people who have left New York for Maine, Vermont, Tennessee, Indiana. I've been to all these places many, many, many times over many decades. And with all due respect and affection, are you kidding me? Well, we're not kidding, and don't kid yourself for 1 second. Lots of people who live in Manhattan think everything across the George Washington Bridge is the rest of the country. Now, one little point here. Jerry Seinfeld lives in the Beresford. And if you don't know what that is, when you see the skyline of Central Park, it's that big, really expensive building that only billionaires live in. And I also notice that he leaves out that Democrats control the city and every one of these cities. As I said earlier, they never learn. But maybe Kramer's old neighbor should read some of the evidence. Look, it's true. New York City is an international brand, so eventually it will be back. But some other major cities, they will not fare so well. So let's start with Economics 21. Headline, The End of Cities? Quote, no one knows what the long-term impacts of the coronavirus will be for cities. The present situation surely reminds us that alongside density's many advantages are demons to tame, among them the spread of deadly disease. But even before COVID-19, cities were losing people. The latest census estimates reveal that New York City lost more than 53,000 residents last year, 146 people a day, continuing its 3-year streak in population decline. The nation's largest city also saw the country's biggest population losses due to steep declines in international immigration, along with ongoing domestic outmigration. And then there's this from the Wall Street Journal. Headline, business leaders urge Mayor de Blasio to stop New York City's decline. Quote, more than 160 business leaders, including executives at Citigroup, MasterCard, and NASDAQ, have signed a letter to Mayor Bill de Blasio warning of New York City's deteriorating condition in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic and growing anxiety over public safety, cleanliness, and other quality of life issues. In a letter sent Thursday, the leaders said the pandemic has devastated the city's economy, causing high levels of unemployment. They urged the Democratic mayor to restore essential services that have been cut from the budget that he and the New York City Council recently approved. The budget reduced or eliminated services like garbage pickups and graffiti removal, as well as shifted nearly $1 billion in funding away from the New York Police Department. The city still faces a $9 billion deficit over the next 2 years and may have to lay off 22,000 government workers in the coming weeks. Meanwhile, the city has seen a surge in violent crimes and thefts over the summer. Okay, now add in this absolutely hilarious article from the Washington Post, clearly desperate to convince all of us that what we really want in life is to live in a Democrat-controlled city. Headline, not so fast, urban exodus. Coronavirus could make New York and San Francisco great places to live again. Quote, indeed, the future of big cities has become a hot topic of debate among academics, public officials, corporate executives, and in particular, the people who own and finance office buildings, hotels, shopping centers, and apartment buildings who have $15 trillion riding on the outcome. To the dozen that I spoke with, it seems pretty clear that the pandemic will transform how and where people live, work, and shop. But the consensus is also that while this decade-long process will be painful and disruptive, big cities will emerge more livable, affordable, and economically viable than they were before. So just give us more time, right? Instead of fixing the damage they've caused, big city smart people are electing officials that go out and do stuff like this. Hey, look, it's de Blasio again. Classic. Fixing the city by painting the giant BLM mural across Fifth Avenue in front of Trump Tower with Al Sharpton. What has he got to worry about?
Are you concerned about the people who are fleeing? And are you concerned that that affects both our representation and our money? And are you concerned that the crime rate is driving people out as well?
I will guarantee you that we've got 8 million plus people who are not going anywhere. So what we're really talking about is a small number of people. I can't give you the exact number, but a small number of people who are choosing, for now, to go someplace else. Now, there was an article the other day that talked about people leaving and then compared it to the number of people coming in, and there were still a lot of people coming in, too. So we just got to stop this painting of a picture that's not true. The vast, vast majority of New Yorkers are standing and fighting. They are loyal to this city. They're going to stay here no matter what. I told you guys about what I think a lot of you saw, the Jerry Seinfeld piece in the Times last week, which I thought said it beautifully. Some people will go away for a period of time and then come back. Some people may leave us permanently, and they will sooner or later be replaced by other people who want to be here.
Like I said, they'll never learn. So here's the argument. This urban flight has nothing to do with race and everything to do with the breaking point for so many Americans. The China lockdowns, just the final insult. Look, you could argue that it had to be done, that it was a matter of public health, fine. But when that gets thrown on top of the myriad of reasons to leave a city, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. In other words, there's only so much a person can be tormented before they act. Once taxes hit a certain level where the quality of life is declining, the vibrance and convenience of a city loses its appeal. Let's be honest. How convenient is high crime and bad schools? The people who've been running these cities for almost 70 years are now in complete denial they deserve any of the blame because, well, they care more than you. No matter what real truths they're presented, they will cling to their biased research and stay the course. The mainstream media and the left are desperate to make us all believe they're still the good guys, and all they need is more time and more of your money. But at the end of the day, people will do what they want, and there's nothing that de Blasios or condescending celebrities could do about it. The truth is, it's the left's fault that we're in this position to begin with. It was only a matter of time before the rioting, businesses shutting down, and the terrible Democrat policies made cities like New York uninhabitable for the average American. Let's just hope this exodus doesn't bring bad voting habits elsewhere.